Queens in summer doesn't gently arrive. It kicks the door in, sits on your chest, and dares you to complain. The air gets thick like it's trying to become a solid. The walls sweat. Your clothes cling like they've developed attachment issues. And in the bunker living room, where peace is already a delicate, endangered species, a broken air conditioner turns the entire household into a live experiment in how fast a family can go from normal day to full-scale emotional Olympics. Archie comes home worn out, steamed up, and ready to announce his suffering as if he's filing it with the United Nations. He's tired, he's hot, and he's convinced the universe specifically chose him to experience discomfort as a form of character development. Edith tries to be helpful, which is her default setting. She suggests a practical solution. Maybe Irene Lorenzo, the new neighbor, can take a look at the air conditioner because Irene is good with her hands. Edith says it with genuine optimism, the way you'd say, maybe we can fix this. Archie hears it the way he hears everything, as a personal attack on his authority, his peace, and his right to be grumpy without competition. Because Irene isn't the only Lorenzo in the picture. There's also Frank, and Frank sings. Frank sings the way some people breathe, casually, frequently, and without asking permission. Frank's singing drifts through the neighborhood, and Archie reacts like the sound is physically poking him in the ears. Archie doesn't just dislike the singing. He treats it like a criminal act. He describes it as if every alley cat in the borough is filing a complaint. And Edith, in the calmest way possible, points out the obvious. Archie is mad because Edith is spending time next door. Edith is making friends. Edith is enjoying herself. And Archie is jealous, but Archie would rather wrestle a refrigerator than admit jealousy. So Archie does what he always does when he feels vulnerable. He turns it into a demand. Edith says, essentially, you miss me. Archie responds, essentially, I miss dinner. It's his love language, hunger plus attitude. Edith recognizes it for what it is. Archie trying to say something soft without actually saying something soft. She calls it a love letter, and in that house, that's basically a romance novel. But Archie has his own surprise, and it's the kind of surprise only Archie would consider romantic. He has borrowed a loud noisemaker from a friend, something designed for ball games. So the next time Frank sings, Archie can deliver instant sonic revenge without having to yell across the alley. Archie is proud of this device the way a kid is proud of a new toy, except the toy is basically noise with purpose. Edith, being Edith, tries to steer the energy into something productive, like dinner. And then, because Edith cannot resist turning tension into community, she and Irene set up what they believe will be a brilliant plan, a friendly neighbor dinner, with Frank cooking. Edith is thrilled. Irene is confident. Frank arrives like a walking ray of sunshine, joking and charming and acting like the heat wave is just part of the day's adventure. Frank is also cooking French cuisine, which in Archie's world is immediately suspicious because it's food that requires imagination. Frank is making elegant vegetables, counting in Italian, while cooking in French, telling jokes about revolving doors, tossing out puns the way some people toss out salt. Frank's humor is so constant that even he admits some of it is bad. But he keeps going because Frank is a performer, and the world is his stage. The first course is soup. Not just soup, vichyssoise. Cold soup. Served cold on purpose. To Archie, this is not food. This is a trick. Irene takes one look at it and instinctively wants to heat it up because her body is following the ancient rule of soup. Soup is hot. Frank stops her immediately and delivers a sentence that sounds poetic and also slightly unhinged if you've never heard it before. If you warm it up, it weeps. The soup weeps. That's the kind of statement that makes a normal person curious and makes Archie assume the entire meal is part of a conspiracy. Edith worries because Archie has never had cold soup before, at least not intentionally. Frank assures her Archie will love it, which is the kind of optimism you only have if you've never been personally yelled at by Archie while holding a spoon. Frank keeps cooking and narrating like a cheerful chef host, showing Irene his vegetables, encouraging questions, and telling jokes about a dentist, marrying a manicurist, and how they fought tooth and nail. Irene laughs politely because she's nice. Edith laughs because she loves that people are laughing. Mike and Gloria are in that special position of married couple observers who can sense a disaster coming, but also know it's too late to exit the building. Archie, meanwhile, is entering the social situation the way a man enters a dentist's office, suspicious, tense, and already convinced he's being harmed. He sits there watching Frank's charm like it's a suspicious substance. The soup arrives, cold and innocent, and Archie reacts with the betrayal of a man whose expectations have been violated by temperature. His face says, "This is wrong," before his mouth even opens. And then his mouth opens because Archie's mouth always opens. He complains. He grumbles. He makes comments designed to cut and entertain at the same time, the way he always does when he feels out of control. Because this isn't really about soup. It's about Archie standing in his own living room and realizing he is not the center of the room for once. Edith is engaged. Irene is learning. Frank is performing. Mike and Gloria are reacting. The laughter is not orbiting Archie. And Archie has never handled that well. He does not know how to say, "I feel left out." So he says, "Why is the soup cold?" He does not know how to say, "I'm afraid I'm losing my place." So he says, "What kind of food is this?" He does not know how to say, "I want my wife's attention." So he says, "Where's dinner?" and then complains about how dinner looks. At one point, Archie starts making crude insinuations and old-fashioned judgments that are less joke and more awkward, the kind of comments that would instantly suck oxygen out of a room. But Irene and Edith don't let the moment become poison. They keep moving. Frank keeps smiling. The dinner lurches forward like a car with a slightly damaged tire. It can still get somewhere, but the ride is bumpy. And then the day does what it always does in that house. It changes tracks abruptly. Edith has been out of the market, and in the most Edith way possible, she returns not just with groceries, but with a whole human being. Mr. Quigley appears in the bunker living room as if he's been delivered by the universe in a suitcase of confusion. He's wearing pajamas so old he proudly notes they've survived over a decade. And he's escaped from an old folks' home by pretending he was taking a nap so nobody would notice him leaving. It's the kind of plan that makes perfect sense if you're 82 and have decided you've earned the right to outsmart people with minimal effort. Edith met him through a window at the market, which is a sentence that should not make sense, but Edith tells the story as if it's the most natural thing in the world. In Edith's version, there was an argument in the checkout line about a coupon, and Edith smiled, looked out the window, and saw Mr. Quigley. If you're Mike, you realize Edith's storytelling is like taking a scenic route through a maze. If you're Archie, you just want to know why an 82-year-old man in pajamas is sitting where Archie's legs usually stretch out. Mr. Quigley wants to call his daughter. The daughter isn't home. Mr. Quigley, without missing a beat, delivers wisdom like it's a stand-up routine. Daughters don't always pick up. Then he starts giving Mike advice about women and men, and the Iceman, always having his pick. It becomes clear that Mr. Quigley is both charming and sharp, the kind of elderly man who has heard every excuse and outlived the urge to pretend he's impressed. The conversation turns into something bigger than comedy for a moment. Mr. Quigley's story isn't just funny old guy in pajamas. It's about dignity. It's about aging. It's about people being pushed into a system where they're managed rather than respected. Mike, naturally, leans into the moral angle because Mike cannot resist a debate when the topic is fairness. Archie leans into the complaint angle because Archie cannot resist a debate when the topic is government. Gloria watches, amused and exhausted, because she's the only person in that room who can see the emotional pattern repeating like a record. Mr. Quigley's situation eventually resolves when his friend arrives, Josephine, and the twist is unexpectedly modern and brutally practical. They aren't married, not because they don't love each other, but because paperwork and money would punish them. Archie, who is used to life being the rules are the rules, is forced to see a reality where the rules don't always protect people. Sometimes they corner them. Mr. Quigley and Josephine leave, and the living room is left with that strange aftertaste that comes when comedy brushes up against truth. And that's when the next disaster arrives in the form of art. Gloria brings home a statue, a reproduction of the kiss. She's thrilled. She loves it the way a person loves a symbol, romance, beauty, adulthood, a home that feels like it belongs to her and Mike, not just like a corner of Archie's kingdom. She explains that Irene gave it to her because Gloria always admired it. Gloria's excitement is contagious. Edith is delighted too. Edith is in such a glowing mood that she announces it's a special day, Henry Mancini's birthday. And that alone is enough to tell you Edith is operating on pure joy. She's so happy she tries to recreate the statue's pose with Mike on the couch like she's directing a mini theatrical performance. Mike, being Mike, goes along confused but compliant because Mike has learned that resisting Edith's enthusiasm is like trying to stop a parade with a spoon. Edith gets the pose almost right and then, in a burst of comedic innocence, realizes something is missing from the pose and suggests the most ridiculous possible fix. The figures are unclothed, so maybe they should remove their clothes too. Mike's panic is immediate. Gloria laughs. Edith is delighted with herself. It's harmless, silly, and exactly the kind of moment that makes you think, okay, maybe this day won't end in flames. Then Archie walks in and sees the statue. Archie does not see art. Archie sees an offense. He calls it filth. He calls it indecent. He reacts as if someone placed scandal directly onto his coffee table. Gloria is stunned because she can't believe a grown man can be so upset by a piece of sculpture. Archie says it's naked, and he says naked the way someone says radioactive. Gloria argues that it expresses love. Archie argues that he doesn't care what it expresses. It's not staying. He doesn't debate aesthetics. He declares jurisdiction. He invokes the idea that local standards decide what's obscene, and in his mind, he is the local standard. In the Archie Constitution, Archie's living room is its own independent nation. The argument escalates quickly because Gloria has finally hit a wall she refuses to back away from. This is her marriage. This is her home. This is her adulthood. She refuses to let Archie dictate what she can own or admire. Archie refuses to let Gloria redefine his living room rules. Edith tries to calm them down, but Edith trying to calm Archie and Gloria is like trying to stop a hurricane with a polite suggestion. Then Frank Lorenzo enters the drama again, because of course he does. Frank finds out the statue is in the bunker house and reacts like a man whose favorite possession has been kidnapped. He announces with comedic desperation that it's his favorite statue, his kiss, and he wants it back. It turns out Irene likely loaned it, not gifted it permanently, which means Gloria's ours forever moment suddenly becomes a complicated, maybe not moment. Archie sees an opening and takes it instantly. He hands the statue back with the speed of a man returning contraband. He acts like he's doing everyone a favor, like he's being generous. Frank even offers that Gloria can keep it longer if she really likes it. But Archie insists it's better at Frank's house, and the decision is made with Archie's signature style. Fast, confident, and not at all interested in whether it hurts someone's feelings. Gloria is devastated, not because the statue is just an object, but because it represented something, her taste, her independence, her sense of being respected. And now the statue is gone. And she believes Archie didn't just return alone, he seized the chance to win. Gloria calls him out. Archie denies wrongdoing. The argument detonates. Mike steps in, Edith pleads for peace, and Gloria makes the kind of declaration that changes the entire household atmosphere. She announces she is never speaking to Archie again. Not ever. Not one word. No matter what. Archie responds like a man who believes he can outlast silence through sheer stubbornness. He insists she isn't hurting him. He tries to provoke her. And then we get the purest form of family comedy. Dinner becomes a battlefield over ketchup. Archie asks for ketchup. Gloria, true to her word, says nothing and does nothing. Archie asks again, louder. Still nothing. Archie tries commanding it like he's calling troops. Gloria doesn't move. Edith's face becomes the face of a woman trapped between two immovable objects. A father who cannot bend and a daughter who has finally decided she will not bend anymore. Mike watches, half amused and half horrified, because he knows the silent treatment can outlast wars in that house. Archie tries to weaponize guilt by pointing out Edith's misery. He argues Gloria should show respect for her mother. Gloria doesn't respond because the point isn't ketchup. The point is, I will not be controlled by you. Archie tries to turn dinner into a morality lesson and ends up turning it into a ketchup standoff that would be ridiculous if it weren't so emotionally real. And to make it even funnier, the food on the table is French again. Potatoes au gratin, cheese in potatoes, which to Archie sounds like someone has committed a culinary crime. Archie complains about cheese being spilled into the potatoes as if cheese has wandered in accidentally and needs to be escorted out. In Archie's mind, food should be straightforward. Potatoes should taste like potatoes, soup should be hot, and Archie should keep its clothes on. Every time the world breaks those rules, Archie experiences it as a personal insult. The brilliance of the whole situation is that the household is arguing about objects and temperature and ketchup, but the real argument is about love and control and dignity. Archie's fear is that he's losing his place. Gloria's anger is that she won't stay small forever. Edith's pain is that she wants harmony but lives with two people who treat harmony like a suspicious concept. Mike's frustration is that he believes reason should win, but he married into a family where reason is often outvoted by stubbornness. And through it all, the Lorenzos remain this ironic contrast. Frank, singing and cooking and joking, and Irene, friendly and helpful, just tried to exist as good neighbors without accidentally igniting the Bunker household like a match thrown into a firework factory. They don't mean harm. They're simply different, more open, more joyful, more modern in their comfort. And for Archie, different feels like danger. By the time the day winds down, the air conditioner is still broken, the heat is still oppressive, and the emotional temperature in the house is still high. The statue is gone. The silent treatment continues. Archie keeps talking anyway, because Archie cannot not talk. Gloria keeps not responding, because Gloria has discovered that silence can be louder than shouting. Edith keeps trying because Edith's love doesn't quit. Mike keeps hovering between mediation and disbelief because that's Mike's permanent job description. And what you're left with is the strange, funny, painfully human truth that makes this whole story work. Sometimes families don't need a villain from outside to create chaos. Sometimes all you need is a heat wave, a cold soup that weeps, a statue with a scandalous lack of clothing, and one bottle of ketchup that suddenly becomes the most powerful object in Queens.